All right. Well, thank you very much, Kesha, once again for accepting to join us in this short interview. First, in the name of TaxDome, as you said, already said it, but in the name of TaxDome, we are really, really happy that you get the position of the director of the National Associations of Enroll Agents. So that is a huge thing. And once actually Peter saw the news, right? So Peter saw the news, and actually he told us that you got the position, and it was a huge thing internally because for us it's like a huge milestone because you met with Nicholas as well in the IRS event, I think. Uh,
Yes.
so we already have your name on top of our minds. We already know that you are a great person and that you have this amazing vibe with you on every single place that you are in, right? So we were really excited for you, and that's why Peter had the idea to have a short interview to see and promote, because we like as well to spotlight our clients within TaxZone. And when any of our clients reach these kind of milestones, we are happy and we make these interviews, we make blogs, and we spread the news around our channels.
Okay. Love
So
that. Thank you.
so first question, actually, and this is going to be, like the keystone for the next questions that we have coming in. And what inspired you to take on the role of the director of the National Association of Enroll Agents?
Okay. That's an easy question. It's the next progression in my role as an enrolled agent. Been an enrolled agent. Next week will make 8 years. So I've been in the tax industry over 25 years, but I've been an enrolled agent for 8 years, and I've served on the local level, the state level. And it was just the next progression. It's like, okay, now you need to run for the board of directors because you're bringing the knowledge just from the local, like basically grassroots to the national organization as a whole. And then I felt being on the board of directors, I had a different type of voice. That's one thing about enrolled agents. We have such a diverse background. And I felt like it was important to know that everyone doesn't take the same pathway to become an enrolled agent. So it was important that my voice was heard as well.
All right. Well, actually, that's a great answer, and it opens the conversation because what you said is that was the next step for you in your career, right? Like you start
Mhm.
from scratch, and you have been building this path, and you have been making the right decisions and so on. So you know what's to be an enrolled agent, right? It's not like this is something new for you. Of course, you have all the
Right, right.
experience. So I would like to ask you, as the leader on a tax community, what are the challenges that you see facing enrolled agents today, and how do you plan to address them?
Two big changes that I see is one is time. As enrolled agents, again, we're dealing with the community, we're dealing with our own practice, we're dealing with being on the board. We have so much tax law changes, and it's helping enrolled agents figure out, what do I do now? How do I do this? And that's where, technology comes in. That's where, adding staff. But the biggest thing is having like a product like TaxDome, because now that frees up that time for me to do self-care, for me to study, for me to use other resources. So that is a big challenge, helping enroll agents understand that I don't want to die at this desk. I have a life outside of this. So learning how to utilize my time to be able to be everything I need to be for my colleagues, be everything I need to be for my family and for my clients, but then have that time for me. So helping enrolled agents like find the times for themselves, that's the biggest thing. And then the other thing is learning how to be that voice in the community. And sometimes as enrolled agents, we kind of shy back and we take the background because people don't know who we are. So helping people like find that time to have their voice, and then find that time to just kind of spend time with themselves. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, and actually, that's a very hot topic right now. Like nowadays, the work-life balance, right? So I do love my job. I do like love what I do, but of course, there are other things that are equally or more important than my job. Like for example, your family, and have, because I know that enroll agents, because I work with them in the community, they ask pretty analytical questions. So they tend to be like, really, is it yes or no? So, but they don't see it like the gray area, or they are really, really logical on the way they think, right? So this is really important that you bring this to them, because I think that they really need it.
Well, and the other thing is that so many times our practice, like, especially if you're in private practice, if you work for an employer, you have a start and start and stop time. But like people who own their own practice, I was here since 7 o'clock this morning, and you lose track of time unless someone comes in and is like, it's time to go home, because we have such a passion for what we do, or we really want to make sure this client is represented the correct way. And I believe that's in any industry, but specifically in this industry, the average enrolled agent here in Florida, at least, is 65 years old. So this is a second career for them. And, we're trying to make, I mean, it's a second career for me as well, but we have to learn to walk away. It's not the industry like it used to be. Even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, the industry is definitely changing, and we need to be able to use technology and these different things so that we can free up that time. At the end of the day, it's about work-life balance. It's about not like, don't die at your desk. That's pretty much what my friends and I, we like, don't die at your desk, go home. So the goal is to help people not die at their desk.
Right. Okay. And actually, that pretty much answers the next question that I had, and is, how do you envision the future of the National Association of Enrolled Agents under your leadership? So now you already gave us an idea that you want to promote this work-life balance, that you don't want people to die on their desks. So this is a really good answer. Anything that you envision besides that?
NAEA is becoming this big, diverse, inclusive community, and just helping members embrace that and involve. So one of our three missions, of course, is our focus is member engagement, advocacy, which I'm really huge on, and then awareness. There are people who do not know about the enrolled agent designation. So just bringing more awareness to the profession that, hey, the barriers to entry are very, you can pass a 3-part exam, you have a high school diploma, this could be a career that is very satisfying and fulfilling, but then also just being able to help our members become more engaged. If you get a bunch of EAs in the room, we're going to talk about taxes, but each of us is going to have a different experience, bring a different solution, different type of resolution. So to be able to sit and engage with each other, I learn more from my colleagues in a 10-minute Zoom call than I can taking a webinar by myself. So the member engagement part is huge. The other piece is the advocacy, being able to stand up for taxpayers and fight for taxpayer rights, and helping taxpayers understand their obligations to the IRS, but also being able to defend them when the IRS is like, oh, you owe this, or this isn't happening. Sometimes as enrolled agents, we forget that. So at NAEA, that's one of the things we really want members to understand, their authority that they walk in, to make other people aware of what we do, and then to have our members engage with each other.
Right, perfect. That's very good answer right there. And actually, it brings, because you mentioned before that this is a changing role, right? So like being an enrolled agent now is not the same like 5 years ago, because laws are changing all the time, the environment is changing, everything is changing, right? So what specific initiatives or programs do you plan to implement for future support the professional growth of enrolled agents?
So right now, I know NTPI is ramping up their education, the peer-to-peer reviews, peer-to-peer education, that's huge. The other thing is, well, with the education piece is NTPI, the National Tax Practice Institute. We have totally revamped that program. It's a 3-part, three levels, and it helps our enrolled agents just get that additional education to learn about how to better represent clients for the Internal Revenue Service. The other thing is introducing different vendors and software, and just allowing our members to know, like, there's an easier way to do this, or there's a faster way. That's what the technology is there for, to help us do better. So working with our different vendors and products to be able to help help our members serve our clients better, be able to dissect the information that we get from the IRS. And I would say before COVID, and I hate to always say before COVID, because people are like, oh, before COVID, but literally there were EAs that, like, you had to come to the office, you had to do paper. And now technology is moving so fast that we have to teach people to embrace that change. And those are the things that we're implementing now, and just helping our members just catch up. We're running, and there's still people that are walking. So helping everybody be able to get on board and move faster. So the technology, the education, and then just the support of our different vendors is what we're really looking at moving forward.
All right. Yeah, actually, I think that is the way to go, because you are making sure that they are having a professional growth and that they are not comfortable in the same place all the time, right? So you are
You
as
can't
well
be.
preparing them, right?
You'll get
Exactly.
left behind. You
Exactly.
will
You
get
are
left
going to be
behind.
behind, and then catch up is way harder than keep moving, right? So,
Exactly.
right, because
Exactly.
you have to put in double speed, one to catch up and the other one to keep the same pace,
Ex- Yes.
right?
Back and forth, back and forth. So yes,
Exactly.
yes.
All right. Then, well, for me, enroll agents are so important, and I see the importance because, as I mentioned before, I work with them. I know their questions, most of them regarding TaxDome, but I know that they have a crucial role in the financial and tax industry, right? But that's me because I work with enroll agents almost every day. But how do you plan to enhance the visibility and importance of enrolled agents within the broader financial and tax industry?
We have to just get out there. I mean, enroll agent has been around since the Civil War. And so it's not like a new credential that has just come out. It's always been, I mean, CPAs used to have to pass the enrolled agent exam. So it's one of those things that has been around, but people have just kind of gone on to other things. It's kind of like Xerox. There's different companies, but people think, oh, paper is Xerox. So the first thing people think is, I want to do accounting, I'll go become a CPA. And we need to make that awareness that, hey, there are thought leaders that are not CPAs I don't even do numbers. I really don't do tax returns. I have maybe 100 or so clients. My focus is on the tax law, but I'm not a tax attorney. So then people are like, well, what are you? And when you explain enrolled agents are, tax practitioners that are licensed by the Department of Treasury, then people are like, what? So I think it's up to us to make just the community aware. I meet with tax attorneys a lot because they don't do tax returns. And I have CPAs in the building with me right now. They don't do tax law. So I like to say enrolled agents we're that hybrid, the powers of a tax attorney and the powers of a CPA we combine, and you get this hyper baby that is an enrolled agent, and we're able to help people see things from all areas. But as enrolled agents, we have to step up and say, hey, I am a subject matter expert on this, and I am the thought leader on this, and I can help you understand what the IRS notice is or what the intent of that law was as it applies to this specific tax return. And that's where the expertise of an enrolled agent comes in, because we can sit and see both sides of the coin, and that helps everyone in this industry, because now they can basically, we're like an interpreter. They get a better idea of how this industry works and how we can serve a greater part in the tax administration system, and being able to advocate not only for taxpayers, but for just the profession as a whole. I think EAs, we just need to be louder about it, but advocacy and just awareness is a huge part of that.
Right. And actually, I like that analogy that is like a translator, because pretty much you take all of this information, the complex law, you digest it, you process it, and then you give something that is easy to understand and that it's
Yes,
applicable, right?
yes,
Because it's different that you get the information already processed, that you take the law with the complex terms and you understand, because you know that the law is open on different meanings, like the way you understand the law, but it doesn't mean that is the right way or the right interpretation of the law, right?
right. You always have to go back. How did Congress intend that law? You have to go back to the intent of the law. And if you're doing a tax return, that is not what's going through your head. So when the taxpayer has a situation, and we have to argue that or have to go back and defend that tax return, I know what the intent was, so I can defend the numbers better. So yeah,
All right,
that
perfect.
awareness being, letting people know, like, hey, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about.
Right. Okay. Now you said something that is really interesting, because this opens like more questions that I have for today interview, and
Go
this is
ahead,
not a
go
new
ahead.
profession, right? Like this is not a new profession. This is, like a really, I may say, one of the oldest professions right now that are still, important in society, that are
Right.
crucial for an entire industry, like the financial and tax industry. So I want to bring in technology, because as you mentioned, in Florida, the the regular enrolled agent is quite, I don't want to say old, but they already
They're real
been.
seasoned, they're experienced.
Right, exactly. So they are more experienced and they
Yes.
have been in the role for quite a lot. And we already talk about change and everything. But what role do you see technology playing in the future of tax preparation? And will the National Association of Enrolled Agents adapt to these changes?
Oh, we're adapting now, like, again, not to say COVID, but that forced either it's like you're going to make the change or you're not going to be in this profession long. There was a time when my clients would come to my office and we would sit and have an hour-long conversation. Now I'm texting them through TaxDome. That is where technology is going. And if you don't have those resources and you're not trying to get the resources, you will get left behind. So NAEA is introducing those types of vendors and sponsors and teaching our professionals like, hey, this is what needs to be happening with practice management, showing us a faster way to do this. A couple years ago, you and I would probably have this conversation over the phone.
Right.
Now it's like, we're doing a Zoom call and we have, Joseph in here. And the world is just moving faster. And I said it before, but it's just about our helping people change their mindset. So with that, NAEA is like, hey, we're bringing in these different education classes. Now we offer Zoom, we do webinars, we do lunch and learns where, and then we have with NTPI, where it's basically a Zoom call and you can come on and ask questions for that peer-to-peer information. We are trying to embrace technology in all aspects of how we're moving, how we're sending out information, but also how we're educating our members. A lot of our vendors that come on board, that's the first thing is like, how is this going to make our job easier? How is this going to take off pressure for the EA? How is this going to make the research faster? I don't wait for a book to come in the mail anymore. I'm logging in, downloading, I'm getting the information. We need it instantly. So teaching how to use AI for your practice, just changing the way practice management works. And so NAEA is being there at the forefront, and then also offering that education piece. This is a scary time for a lot of people. So we bring in vendors and sponsors that can talk about, AI or cybersecurity. And then we look for people that can support the things that we're looking after, like insurance companies that support, AI, working with Social Security Administration. Those are the different things, is how are we able to move not just the industry, but how are we able to empower our enrolled agents to be better and to service the client more.
Right.
Those are the things. The biggest thing is education.
Right.
Not just for enrolled agents, but people that want to get into the industry, other tax professionals. There's no more sitting in a classroom reading a book. The technology is moving so fast. So we have to be a part of that, or we'll miss out on the conversation.
Yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, adaptation is a key word here, and you need to, we've been saying this already a while, but you need to keep up and make sure that you are up to date every time. We already talked as well about balance, the work-life balance, that is really important. But using the same term, how do you balance maintaining the tradition of the National Association of Enrolled Agents while also pushing for innovation and modernization?
The biggest thing, again, is education. But the balance between all of that is just remembering at our core that we're human. Like, we can push all the technology, we can push all the education, but sometimes it's just picking up the phone or meeting someone for lunch. You'll learn more out of those conversations than, sending an email. I don't send a lot of emails anymore. Like, I'm really big on, hey, just meet me for lunch. So I think fostering the local environment with the affiliates and fostering the local chapters to get together. At the end of the day, everything, not just taxes, but everything we do now, we miss so much of this human aspect of our life. It's being able to get back to that part. And so NAEA is doing, they do the lunch and learns, but we also encourage the local chapters to meet together. And then at our national conventions, our tax summit, that's always a huge, because we're fostering, hey, come and meet people in person. We getting back to that one-on-one where if I have a tax question or I'm stumped with a case, I should be able to, I can't Google everything. I need to be able to call a colleague who's had a similar situation, and they can walk me through how to either do the research or help me locate the answer. So NAEA, despite all the other things that go on at our basic core, we're just humans that do taxes that are licensed by the Department of Treasury. So getting back to that basic human element of just who we are as people, that's part of this inclusive environment that we're helping our members grow and evolve and move into that direction.
All right, well, perfect. Actually, yes, being human, it's a huge part of the profession. And as well, because like you said, being human always maintain for those seasoned and more experienced professional, the tradition, because that's something that they like to have, right? Like the tradition and the way they do things. For example, having a cup of coffee and have just a conversation, it's something that you can keep and that actually adds value to the conversation, because in a comfortable environment, you're going to be open, your mind is going to be more relaxed, so better ideas are coming in the conversation. So I totally agree with you. And talking about the more experienced tax professionals, I would like to know, how do you plan to engage younger professionals entering the field and encourage them to become enroll agents? Because nowadays it is not a secret that other professions are taking place, and the financial and tax industry is not the first option that someone have in mind when they are choosing a career.
Right.
So no one, like a little kid, is not saying, when I grow up, I want to be an enroll agent. But well, as you grow up, you see more options and so on. So how do you plan to capture that attention from the young people?
So you're gonna laugh when I tell you this, but I just did an interview a couple weeks ago from an 18-year-old who wants to be a CPA. I know it's crazy because I was like, what? And their assignment was to interview a CPA. She's always loved accounting. And she decided, you know what, instead of interviewing a CPA, I'm going to interview an enrolled agent, because she was reading about it. And we did this whole interview, and she realized that, hey, I can graduate high school and go into this program without all the stuff. College is not for everybody. So to be an attorney, to be a CPA, you need those accounting and those law backgrounds. But as an enrolled agent, you don't. You just have to have the heart and passion, be able to take the exams. And it's a 3-part exam. And so the younger generation, they just do things a little bit different. I'm always amazed at how they work, because they'll sit down and study and take all 3 exams. They're trying to get it done now. They're ready to take action. And again, it's pour hot water on it. I want it instantly. I want to go. So I met a guy recently at the IRS forums who was doing his MBA and working on his enrolled agent designation. And I'm thinking, what? Like, I'm a little older and I kind of did it piece by piece, but they're ready to be active. So as a more seasoned enrolled agent, I believe that what we need to start doing is embracing that and kind of understanding that hustle and just kind of fostering it more. And then introducing that work life. Yeah, you can study for 3 hours, but then take that break. But then also just encouraging them, being there for them. I remember when I became an enrolled agent, I was doing this by myself. I didn't know who to kind of lean on until I became a member of NAEA. So I make my office open. Just yesterday, I pinned a new EA, letting them know that we are a resource. College is not always an option. There are other ways to get into this profession and to build your own business. So many people are not going to be social media influencers, but I can influence you on TikTok about, do I buy a G-Wagon, or what's the tax advantages of buying a solar vehicle? Like, there are other ways that you can influence, and, they want it instantly, but you need to have that knowledge behind you. At the end of the day, the skill sets that you learn from learning how to read your own taxes, it boils down to your basic finances. Like, I have to do taxes, let me learn how to do mine. And then the younger generation just kind of grows. Like, they're like, oh, if I do this and this, and it just becomes a rolling stone. One gentleman that I hired, he didn't even know how to do tax returns, but he passed all 3 parts of the enrolled agent exam. So they're green and they're hungry, and we need to be able to foster that. And just, I just throw it at him. His first day, he was not afraid to call the IRS, where I've had enrolled agents that have been seasoned are like, I don't like calling the IRS. He was like, let me do it. So being able to capture that energy and just kind of push them, I think they'll do well. And there's no barriers to that. There's no 4 years of college. You sit here and you're getting that hands-on experience right away. And a lot of young people, I'm learning, the technology is advancing. They want to be able to do that. They don't want the traditional work in an office. So like let's set you up remotely. Let's get this going. And that is what's changing this industry. And I love that. I love the changes that's coming with that.
Yeah, actually, I think that it comes down to two words. One is respect and the other one is support. So I think that the new professionals need to respect the professionals that have been doing this for years, but as well, the more experienced professional need to support the young professionals. So in order for this profession to keep growing and all of the changes, as you said, like now they can do everything from home, and that gives them more flexibility. And if it is not like in a factory that you need to actually be there in presence, then by all means, days are changing right now. And
yeah, see, I'm old school. Like, so I literally come to the office every day, and I could work from home, but it's like my brain does not, I cannot make that switch. But there are some people who do amazing and work from home, and we have to be able, like I said, the respect has to be there. That it's like I acknowledge that that's where you work better, so go where you work better. You know that if you work at home with your dog running around and you can knock out tax returns and call the IRS and help a taxpayer get a refund or settle a tax issue, then you do that. I need to come into the office, but that's old school. That's the old school of me. But then if there's an issue, they know, okay, she's in her office, so that door is open that you can come and have, we work well together. And I think with so many different things that go on with generation, and it's like generation X, Z, and Y, all that, you know what, at the end of the day, we really all can work together. We just respect each other's differences.
exactly, yeah, I totally agree. All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that answer. I have one question because I was thinking that you mentioned your vision, right, for the National Association of Enrolled Agents. So we already know where are we right now and where you want to take the National Association. But I would like to know, what are your top priorities in the coming year?
Education is our big thing. And I don't know if you've been following NAEA, but we just went through a major change in just how we perceived. We changed our affiliate structure, our chapter structure. We've changed the requirements to be members, and we just want to be a more inclusive community for enrolled agents. So to do that is like we're listening to members more. Like I remember our past president, Cynthia, said, members have choices. And to understand what we just talked about, everybody's coming from such diverse backgrounds and everybody has different needs, but to be able to meet that basic need of the tax knowledge, tax education, that peer-to-peer, those relationships at the core, that's the NAEA is there, is to be that organization for enrolled agents to get all those little pieces that we need. But we have to understand that in order to do that, we cannot be this elite organization. We need to embrace preparers that are not enrolled agents. Yes, we are, this level that we are, but be able to bring other people up and to reach back, and not just in our own practices, but in the community, the tax community as well. So doing things like this, being able to speak, being able to, reach out to other, like the community colleges, and just embrace, everyone's not going to be an enrolled agent, but this is how we can bring you in, and just being an all-inclusive organization. That's kind of where I see the future of NAEA going, changing some of the barriers to entry so that more people who want to get into the profession can, and just the whole dynamic of the way the organization was set up as a whole. Since I've been a member, it's night and day. There was a time where you had said, Kesha, we want you to run for board of directors. Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Like, I didn't feel like, maybe I didn't have enough tax knowledge, but I understand now, like even being on the board now, the board is made up of so many different people, and collectively we say this so much, we become that melting pot, that soup, and that's what makes us a stronger organization. To have the same people and the same people running the organization, the same types of people, we will never grow from that. So right now our focus again is on member engagement, member awareness, and advocacy, and the only way we're going to do that is evolve and change and embrace all members as they come in.
All right.
That's the future of NAEA. That's a beautiful picture. That's a beautiful picture right there.
Right, yeah, perfect. So you got it clear, so you know where you want to be. You already know your priorities. Now it's just a matter of start taking the action and start doing step by step. But I'm pretty sure that you will get there. Pretty
Yeah,
confident.
we are. There's a great team. Our board, we have a great board of directors, our president. Everybody's just coming in with, with their sleeves rolled up, and we're working to make this a better organization. And that's why you can't see it, but in my flower is my EA pen.
Oh, I
I wear
see.
my pen. Yeah, I wear my pen every single day because I want people to ask me what I do for a living. I want to be able to share, maybe I can help someone or maybe I can introduce someone to a new career. So everybody needs to be all EAs need to be spokespersons for NAEA.
All right, perfect. Now, I have a question that actually I think it's is my favorite one. I hope that you're ready.
Oh no.
It's not complicated, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that the answer is going to be amazing. We already at the beginning, at the very beginning, we already spoke that you have been climbing within your career, you have been taking next step, and once you are ready, you move on to the next step. So I am curious to know what has been the like your most rewarding experience in your career so far, and how do you plan to bring that experience into your new role of director of the NAEA?
So, and I know this sounds kind of cliche, but becoming an enrolled agent was a big deal for me. Like this is, you know, to be on the board of directors, I've been doing reflection lately. My birthday's next week, and then like I said, the week after I became an enrolled agent. And that's because my goal back in the day, my goal was to become an enrolled agent before I turned 45. The week before my 45th birthday, I passed all three parts of my EA exam. So this time of year is always kind of like, where's my life going?
Uh,
But the role that I have, how I've gotten to this point is because look, I just had a brain freeze. I'm thinking like, wow, I've been doing this for so long. What I bring to this is because I like to tell people I'm a product of this organization. Like the Orlando chapter met me at an IRS tax forum. They held a class to say, why are you not an enrolled agent? Because I was like, I'm not studying. I don't want to do all that stuff. I don't want to be under those regulations. And then those same people are now my colleagues today, 8 years later. But they were like, why do you not want to be an enrolled agent? And they've encouraged me. So to now be able to bring this to the board and say, look, at one point I was at that place where I was just taking my classes to the IRS tax form. And now look at here, I'm here now serving as your board director, being a voice for you. So just to be in this spot, I'm excited about it. I mean, it is such an honor for your peers to elect you to say, yes, we want you to represent us and make decisions on, that represent us collectively. So to be able to sit here and say, wow, I look back over my enrolled agent career, and it's like, this is exactly where I need to be, but this is exactly where my colleagues and my circle has kind of pushed me to be here. So the future with NAEA with me, like this is it. Like I'm not going anywhere. So this only up from here. Never president though. I won't even say that. I don't have a desire to be president, but I'll run for the board again at another time as well.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for that honest answer. And actually, I was right. I love the answer. I think that this was my favorite one so far. So thank you very much. Now, Keisha, we have completed all of the questions that I have prepared for today. I
Okay.
would like to ask you a couple of tax-dom related questions, if that's okay.
Yes. Okay. I'm all for it.
All right, awesome. Well, actually, we have Joseph because he was curious as well with me because he has a curious man such as mine. So that's
Okay.
something that we share. And he was curious to know actually what is the role that TaxDome has played for you in terms of solutions that TaxDome has provided, problems that TaxDome has solved for you. What do you feel about the software, things of that nature? So if you can give us your peace of mind on TaxDome.
Okay. So type this down, Joseph. No. So I purchased TaxDome maybe 2 or 3 years ago and did not. I'm one of those kind of people that it has to like make sense in my head, and I wasn't understanding the workflow, like setting up the workflows. So as TaxDome has progressed and you guys have been offering like more videos and classes and different things, I was able to follow a little bit, and I never made the transition. Well, this year, about this time last year, I was like, look, we have to transition to TaxDome. I'm paying for this software. We need to see how we can use it. And so once we end up getting our pipeline set up and getting our workflows, I'm like, how did I use this before? Because we were paying for so many different platforms to be able to text to our clients, to be able to upload software, to now be able to do a tax return, print it from that into the software, have the client pay, sign, like I'm able to get my work done faster. There's a lot of things that I don't have to do anymore because someone else can see that client with the answer and they can respond. Or where before it was like if a client texts the office, whoever was nearby, or we had one phone that we were texting, it was like it made it so complicated. So this year we were like, everybody has to use TaxDome. This is where we are. The clients didn't have a choice. We were doing everything in the portal, and we received so many positive feedback that we were even able to add a section to our pipeline where we were asking clients to leave reviews, and clients were leaving reviews, and it was like, wow, this has been so effective. And it's like, you log in, you see what your work has to be. You can, I don't know the best way to describe it, but our clients were the ones who raved the most because now they're able to download an app. And now I'm not getting pictures of people's feet in their W-2s. I'm getting like documents that I can actually use. The clients love that they can communicate with the staff directly. They're not calling because most of the time they're at their desk, they're at work. And so they're able to, handle business discreetly without, having to call or go to use a fax machine. They're able to take care of things and then sign. I mean, we're turning tax returns around in like 2 to 3 days, where before it was like chasing this client down to get a payment, chasing this client down for documents or signatures. To be able to just set a engagement letter, a checklist, and get the information, it just makes our process so much faster. It makes me actually like taxes again, because at some point it was like, oh my God. So that is the beauty of that TaxDome. And what I've been told, I'm not even using it till its full capacity, like it's not even in its final form. So as different things come out, I'm like looking forward to embrace it. Eventually, probably I won't even need to come to the office. TaxDome will keep me at home. I could do everything from this phone right here.
Right. Yeah, actually, that's the goal, and that's what we like to as well know the feedback. So we are constantly, improving and adding more things. Lately, we add the artificial intelligence, but not to like write emails, but to actually organize and doing something for you instead of just putting like a better way to say things in the email. It's just like something that actually they can see the value of. And it's AI within documents. So the document is scan and change the name based on the document information. So that is really, really useful. And let me ask you, did you already have your first tax season with TaxDome, or you set it up just after the tax season?
No, we set it up, and then we've ran it. So, and the thing is, I had paid so many people to help me. It's like the thing with TaxDome is you have to use it. And if you're not using it, you're like, oh, I don't know what this is. But once you use it and you're going through the process, it makes it so much easier. So yes, I don't even think 3 of my staff members, I didn't even see. They worked completely through TaxDome and online, and that was perfect. But there was not a lack in communications. My favorite part, you're gonna laugh. My favorite part of TaxDome is the billing, the timer, because I use, when I do resolution, I would charge a flat fee. And so just for fun, I was like, you know what, this one particular case, I'm just going to use the timer in TaxDome just to see if I'm billing the correct. And I realized that I was missing out on so much money because I was doing so much more work than what I was billing for. So that now we do the timer on it. It's like the timer on all our resolution cases, not so much tax prep, but I'm using it more and more. And other tax software that I've used, or other client management, they don't have the timing, the billing portion.
Right.
And to me, that's huge. So that's actually my favorite feature. To be able to click on that little clock and get to working and then pause it and go back. I know that sounds weird, but that's my favorite part of it.
All right, that actually is really, really cool. And actually, I have to say that is a pretty original answer, because we always get like workflows or the chat is my favorite, my client portal. But to be honest, in the 3 years that I've been with TaxDome, this is the first time that I've heard like the bottom, like the time tracker is the favorite feature out of
That's my
the
favorite
whole
part.
software.
I'll use it for anything. Like I'll open TaxDome and then I'll just create and I'll just run it just for just general stuff, because you don't realize, again, getting that time back, you don't realize how much time you spend doing things that we're not billing for. So now it's like, it's changed the way that I do practice. Like, oh, clients on the phone, one moment, billing.
Let me click first before I talk to you.
Exactly.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I would like just to wrap it up. I just have the last question, and I'll let you
Okay.
go because I know that you must have like a lot of things to
I
do.
actually have a dentist appointment, so you talk as long as you want.
I just let me wrap it up. Just the last question, and it's comparison the tax season without TaxDome and with TaxDome. Do you see any difference in the results that you achieve besides the communication? We already talked about that. The money, because now you are getting paid more because now you know how much you have to charge your clients. But in terms of process wise, did you see any difference between tax season with TaxDome and without TaxDome?
I did. One of the biggest benefits is that the client is able to follow along. So at every step, they would get an email or a text, and that way that cut out clients calling. So like the phones hardly rang. We didn't get all these crazy emails because we were like, everything has to go through the portal. Like we communicate, like everything's in the portal. Where before we would just kind of do like, okay, well, she doesn't know. I was very adamant this year. We're only using the TaxDome portal. We're only using this. And the clients actually, they bucked it first, but then they realized this is such an easier process. And then, like I mentioned, at the end of our workflow, we implemented, hey, if you love this experience, leave us a Google review. And we were able to get reviews. We were able to get positive client feedback, and no one said anything. They're like, love the new portal, love the new app, like they love it. So I'm just looking for ways that we can improve it. But between last year and this year, night and day. The other thing is that we did not work up until April 15th, because again, we're talking about work-life flows.
Right.
All documents in by April 1st. We were closed before April 15th, which is great, because we were able to put that blanket message up to let clients know, like as soon as they logged in, I didn't have to send out a million emails. Literally, when they logged into their portal, hey, all documents by this date will be closed. So just being able to communicate, and my clients felt more engaged with the staff, because it's popping up and we're able to answer right away, as opposed to leaving a voicemail and getting back to you in 4 to 2 days. So yeah, just night and day was a great experience, and we're looking forward to the changes and the changes we've made to see if our clients like it even more when the upcoming tax season.
All right, perfect. Actually, a great answer right there. Thank you so much for your time. In my side, I think I'm done. Joseph, do you have any questions?
Yeah. I would just like to say that the way you described your first experience with an IRS agent on your firm's website, I think it's powerful, and it speaks volumes about how many clients feel. And this circles back to what you just said about your dentist appointment later. At TaxDome, we know that there are some clients who almost get nervous speaking with their accountants, almost in the same way that some people don't look forward to visiting the dentist. Our mission is to simplify and speed up all touch points between firms and clients, and as much as we can to make the process enjoyable on both sides. So my question is, do you think TaxDome has helped improve the way your clients think about interacting with an accountant or accounting firm?
Absolutely. The one feature I forgot to mention is to be able to add the Loom video, because again, you're doing things virtually. You don't get to see that person's personality, but I was able to do intros, hey, it's, do this whole little video. And even when I'm reviewing a client's tax return, I'll record a Loom video, add that. I mean, again, the way we do business now is so different. So I'll record a quick Loom video. If they're a new client, if I heard something, I can record a video, post it in the chat to them, and now it's like they're having a conversation with me. So it's taken away that, you know, oh, I got to meet with my accountant, I got to spend all day sitting in her office. Now it's like it's a fun conversation, and if I'm sitting in a chat and it's something they don't understand, I'll just record a video and send it to them. So they're still getting that personal one-on-one experience, but they're saving time by not having to sit here in my office and watch me, you know, go over their numbers. It just makes the experience so much easier and nicer and more pleasant, because, you know, I'm happier when I'm recording a video and I can go back and edit it a million times versus just being on the phone like, what? No. You know, now I'm, hey, Melissa, so glad, that was a great question. I can be a little bit more personable and answer their question. And so being able to add the videos and add for the new clients that come in, that new client part of it, have a welcome video, where as opposed to just, you know, hey, welcome to the firm and email. Now you have this personalized video from me and my team welcoming you to our office. So it definitely has changed the way, you know, it makes it more, we're going back to that human element. It adds that human element back to it. And I'm glad that you went on my website. I was 20 years old when we had that IRS audit. That's what made me become an enrolled agent.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I just have to this was amazing. I think that Joseph can agree with me that this is so useful for us. I thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.